In this lesson, you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem for finding the distance between points, specifically between 2 points. You should have in front of you a worksheet that you can work these out as I'm doing them. However, if you do not have it and you are not at school, that is okay. You'll just get it tomorrow, but continue to write down notes, and you can transfer these notes to the paper tomorrow. When finding the distance between 2 points on a graph, what you're going to do is you're actually going to connect the 2 dots and make a right triangle. If you have the paper in front of you, please do what I am doing. So then what you're going to do is you're going to count how many spaces you actually have between the 2. Now, one thing you need to make sure you write down and remember is that you actually need to look and see what the scale is. All the ones on this paper are going to be scaled by ones. However, it's really important that you make sure that you're counting based upon the scale. So this one, you're going to have, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as one leg, and I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the other leg. Now, there's my right angle, and if I draw an arrow, that is C. So again, your C is always directly opposite your right angle. And I always draw an arrow to point to so I know that's my C side, so I know which one I'm trying to do. So if you remember, the Pythagorean theorem is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I'm going to have 6 squared plus 7 squared equals C squared. So 36 plus 49 equals C squared. So then I have 85 equals C squared. Then I do the square root of both sides. So C equals roughly, I believe it's 9.2. Okay, so it's just using Pythagorean theorem, but you're finding the distance between 2 points using it. Now, yes, there is such thing as the distance formula. However, it's very long, very lengthy, and there's a lot more room for error than there is with this method. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. So if you want, pause the video now and write this down if you need to. But I'm going to go ahead and erase it, and I'm going to do number 2 next. Alright, number 2, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to connect my 2 points together and draw a right triangle. This length is 1, and then this length right here is actually going to be 9. So you don't need to worry so much if it's positive or negative, because anytime you square a number, it's going to be a negative. It's going to be a positive number. So I have my A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm going to have my 1 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared. And again, I know that because this is my C side, always my hypotenuse. So I have 1 plus 81 equals C squared. So 82 equals C squared. So the square root of both of those, C, is equal to roughly 9 1/10. Okay, go ahead and do 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I know your 4, I've actually already drawn the hypotenuse on there for you. So go ahead and do those, and then go to the next slide. Alright, so we're still finding the distance between 2 points. Now, if you notice, I just have the points now. I don't have it on a graph. It's okay if you don't have it on a graph. You always have the option of graphing it if you want. I can give you scratch paper, I can give you graph paper, but there's also a way that you can do it without having any graph paper. But again, you're always going to be allowed graph paper, but go ahead and jot this down, and if you feel more comfortable graphing them, go ahead and graph the rest of them. I just want you to know how you can do it without a graph if you ever need to. So the first one is the point -2, 3, and -7, -7. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to be like, okay, let's graph my -2, 3. Let's say that's right here. So I'm just going to put a point and call that -2, +3. And then I'm going to graph another point, and it's at -7, -7. So here's -2, so I know -7 is going to have to go to the left, and it's going to have to go below that one, realistically. So -7, -7. Now, here's a line I'm trying to find, but what I can do is I could go ahead and draw a triangle. I know this point right here is at -7, +3, because all I've done is go over on my x value. So I know from -2 to -7, the difference there is 5. And I know the difference from 3 to -7, that's again my y values. Well, that's going to be my other leg, and -3 to 7 is going to be a total distance of 10. Don't so much worry about if it's a negative or positive, again, because you're going to end up squaring it, and it ends up being positive anyway. So here is my c side. So I'm going to do, again, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to have 5 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared. So 25 plus 100 equals c squared. So 125 equals c squared. Then I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and c is going to equal 11.2. So again, it's the exact same thing. You're kind of just combining, finding the distance between 2 points, and drawing a diagram like you had to do in previous lessons. So go ahead and write this down if you need to, if you haven't already, and pause it while you do that. I'm going to pause it, erase it, and do number 8. Alright, well, I'm having technical problems with deleting that now, so sorry. I'm going to go ahead and do number 11 instead. So with number 11, my x values go from -10 to -8. Remember, those are our x's just because in our points, the first point is always our x, the second point is our y. So my x is going to be 2. So if I draw my triangle, and we act like it's on a graph, the horizontal one is always my x, so I'm going to put a 2 there. And then I know from -7 to a +1 is going to be 8. So I'm going to label that with an 8. And again, I just continue my a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 2 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. So 4 plus 64 equals c squared. So c squared equals 68. Take the square root of both sides, and c is going to equal 8.2. Okay, so go ahead and do 8, 9, 10, and try number 12. If you get stuck on to number 12, write down what it is you need in order to completely solve for it. Here are all the answers to today's problems. Now, number 12, I'll go over with you tomorrow in class just because it is a little different as why they say the distance is only 4. Go ahead and check the other ones. Write down any questions you have so I can go over them tomorrow before you start the actual work.